Here is the full script. Your phone knows you are pregnant before you do. That is not a metaphor. In 2012, Target's data science team built a predictive model so accurate it assigned a pregnancy score to female customers based on purchases like unscented lotion and magnesium supplements. They started sending maternity coupons. One father called his local Target store furious. His teenage daughter was getting baby product mailers. By the time the conversation ended, he called back to apologize. His daughter was pregnant. She had not told him. A retail loyalty card had figured it out first. That was 14 years ago. The tools available today make that model look like a calculator next to a supercomputer. The reason this matters right now is not abstract. In 2026, data brokerage is a $300 billion industry, and it is growing faster than almost any sector in the American economy. The companies trading your information are not just selling you advertisements. They are selling your behavioral profile to insurance underwriters, landlords, employers, and political campaigns, and none of those transactions require your knowledge or permission. A 2025 Duke University study found that at least 47 data brokers were actively selling profiles on active-duty military personnel, including their mental health indicators and financial stress scores. That information can be used to deny you a loan, raise your insurance premium, or disqualify you from a job before you ever step into an interview. The system is not coming. It has already arrived. Most people are simply not aware they are already inside it. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to the early days of the commercial internet. The original business model of companies like Google and Facebook was simple: offer something free and monetize the attention. The critical shift happened around 2010, when Silicon Valley realized attention alone was not the ceiling. Behavior was. Not just what you clicked on, what you almost clicked on, how long you hovered, what you typed, and then deleted. In 2013, Facebook filed a patent for inferring personality traits from cursor movement. No click required. They were learning from the things you chose not to do. Think of it like a poker player reading tells. The fold is sometimes more revealing than the bet. Over the following decade, the data collection infrastructure expanded so quietly and so quickly that by 2023 the average smartphone was transmitting location data to third-party servers over 80,000 times per day, according to research from the University of Southern California. You were not asked. There was no prompt. It was buried in terms of service that researchers estimate would take 76 workdays per year to read in full. Here is the first thing most people do not know. The data these companies collect is not just a record of your past. It is a predictive engine for your future. Google's internal research, surfaced during the 2023 Department of Justice antitrust trial, showed that their ad targeting systems could predict whether you were likely to experience a depressive episode, not from something you searched for, but from changes in your typing speed, session duration, and search query length over time. The system was not diagnosing you. It was flagging you as a high-value target for pharmaceutical advertising. Facebook conducted a similar experiment in 2014, deliberately manipulating the emotional tone of 689,003 users' news feeds without disclosure. The goal was to measure whether digital emotional contagion was real. It was. Users shown more negative content posted more negative content. The FTC fined Facebook $5 billion in 2019 for privacy violations, which sounds large until you realize Facebook earned $117 billion in ad revenue that same year. The fine was a rounding error. And crucially, none of the behavioral prediction infrastructure was dismantled. The second revelation goes deeper, and it will reframe how you think about devices you trust. Your television is one of the most sophisticated surveillance tools in your home. Every major smart TV manufacturer, Samsung, LG, Vizio, Roku, uses a technology called automatic content recognition, or ACR. It captures a snapshot of whatever is on your screen thousands of times per hour, matches it against a database of broadcast content, and transmits that data to third-party advertising partners. In 2022, a Northeastern University study found that Roku and Amazon Fire TV were sending data to Facebook, Google, and over a dozen other companies, even when users had explicitly opted out of personalized advertising. Vizio settled with the FTC for $2.2 million in 2017 after collecting viewing data on 11 million TVs without consent. They have since resumed ACR under updated terms buried in the setup screen you tapped through in 90 seconds when you plugged the TV in. Your viewing history is being cross-referenced with your purchase data, your location history, and your financial transactions to build what the ad industry calls a unified identity graph, a single persistent profile that follows you across every screen you own. The mechanism that makes all of this possible is called real-time bidding, and understanding it changes how you see every web page you load. When you open a news article, a silent auction takes place in approximately 100 milliseconds, faster than a human blink. Your profile, age, income bracket, location, browsing history, emotional state indicators, is broadcast to thousands of companies simultaneously. They bid against each other to show you an ad. The winning bidder pays. But here is the counterintuitive part. Every company that receives your profile in that auction gets to keep it, whether they win or lose. It is like a sealed bid auction where every losing bidder walks away with a photocopy of your financial records. A 2020 investigation by Drive Johnny Ryan at the Irish Council for Civil Liberties found that Google's ad exchange alone was broadcasting user profiles to over 4,000 companies per day, with no technical controls over what those companies did with the data afterward. The data leaves the system and enters a secondary market. By the time it reaches a health insurance underwriter or a political micro-targeting firm, it has changed hands 6 or 7 times and is completely untraceable back to its source. The complications are serious, and they are not theoretical. The first is what researchers call the inference problem. Once a company has enough behavioral data, it can infer information you have never shared: sexual orientation, political affiliation, religious belief, mental health history, with accuracy rates above 80%. According to a Stanford study published in 2024, you do not have to share that information. They derive it. The second complication is the security risk. Data broker databases are not regulated like financial or medical records. They have been breached repeatedly. In 2024, a company called National Public Data exposed the social security numbers and personal records of nearly 300 million Americans in a single breach. That data, including inferred mental health scores, income estimates, and relationship status, is now permanently in circulation. There is no taking it back. A third problem is the chilling effect on behavior itself. When people know or suspect they are being profiled, research shows they self-censor. Fewer searches about health conditions, fewer reads of controversial opinions. Surveillance does not just record behavior, it reshapes it. This affects your life in ways that are already concrete and getting more specific. If you have applied for a job at a large company in the last 3 years, there is a strong likelihood that a background screening firm purchased your data profile before the interview. Not your credit report, your behavioral profile. A 2025 investigation by the Markup found that 72% of Fortune 500 companies use third-party data enrichment services to screen candidates before first contact. Your social media sentiment, your estimated household income, your predicted likelihood to unionize. All of it scored, ranked, and acted upon before you know you are being